Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry. You may be surprised to see this video since it breaks from my more recent format of doing Adventurer Spotlights and Dragalia Weeklies, but I decided since I was going to summon on this showcase anyway, plus we got a bunch of news at Reset last night, and I happen to have some free time this evening, that I would go ahead and make a video and publish this early so that you could take a look at what I summoned, and we could talk a little bit about our next version update. So here's the situation as far as this showcase goes. I've only done daily deals and free summons, but because of how long this showcase has lasted and that we would get both a free summon and a daily deal on each day of the weekend, I only need 4 more summons to increase my pity rate for the second time. So I'm thinking I'm going to do some single summons here and maybe try to do 14 single summons, be a little risky, so that we could get our pity rate up to a high amount. My thinking behind summoning on this, even though I expect Gala to come this weekend, is my flame team right now for Mercurial Gauntlet, it's really lacking. And in particular, as far as dragons go. So if I were to get Ramona, she would be an awesome addition to my team. I do have a 5-star Flame Elemental axe, the core axe for her, that she could take advantage of. Reina would be a little bit less so, because I have Mikoto already. And Arctos would be amazing for that Mikoto, and just in general, because currently my only flame dragons are, I have a 0 Unbound Agni, likewise, a base copy of Konohana Sakaya, and then I have Prometheus with 1 Unbind, and at 4-star I have Ifrit, who's max Unbound, but only 1 of them, and then I have also a max Unbound, max level Pele from the first raid. So I would love to be able to power up my flame team. Carl and Renee at this point are just dupes, and actually an extra Ifrit would not be a bad thing, because we're nearing the end of the month. At least that'll happen before the Mercurial Gauntlet reset happens. And if I get 1 Ifrit, I'm currently sitting on 2 Moonlight Stones, so I could get 2 more next month, and that would be enough for me to max Unbind it, and maybe be able to push at least a few levels into the Wind Gauntlet with my Flame team. I'm not sure how likely that'll be, it all depends on what we're going to get here today, but I'm still pretty excited to summon on this. I think it'd be awesome to actually get all the sisters one day, but with how infrequent dream summons are, let's just see what we happen to get from our single tickets, and maybe we'll eventually do that, and maybe not. Looks like we're going to start off with the 4-star right away, which is always good. Hope it's a dragon, but it's an adventure. And it's not Renee, it's actually a floor dupe. Anyway, while this summoning takes place, unless there's something really exciting that catches our attention, I'll go ahead and talk about some of the updates or content that's coming out this week. So tomorrow, basically Reset tonight, we're going to get Void Jeanne d'Arc, and we're also going to get Void Greedy Manticore. That's a pretty cool change. Jeanne d'Arc, of course, is going to be of the light element, and this heavily suggests that High Jupiter is indeed our next High Dragon. Now, I've heard that there are also data mines files with sound effects that sound like lightning. So unless there's a really big troll happening where they want to throw us off their trail, it does look like it's basically all but confirmed that it's going to be High Jupiter coming up next, which kind of makes sense seeing as we have Nyarlathotep, Heinwald, and we also have Nidhogg on raid up right now. And that Norwind that's on raid up might be good against Void Jeanne d'Arc, since we would assume that she's going to inflict blind, because the Void bosses usually inflict the opposite affliction. Speaking of afflictions, that's one of the biggest changes that I'm looking forward to as far as the new version update goes. In terms of that, it's going to work in the future that afflictions that do damage over time can now stack, and either the rate at which bosses build up tolerance will be reduced, or the tolerance is actually going to diminish. The wording wasn't super clear in the English version, but it sounds like it's going to be a slower buildup of tolerance, but bosses will still build up tolerance to afflictions. It's just that for some of those weaker afflictions, like the ones that do damage over time, paralysis, burning, poison, and also for blindness, since that's kind of on the weaker side, it looks like bosses are no longer going to become immune as quickly, which is absolutely awesome. There's also other cross-stacking that you can do with certain afflictions, which is cool now. So in the past, certain categories of afflictions would reset each other. I got distracted by this 4-star, just a second. It's going to be a dupe though. But now, after this update, which happens next week, that's no longer going to be the case. So I feel kind of bad, constantly complaining or at least criticizing some of these affliction-based characters and constantly citing that weakness they have of tolerance buildup. But I'm really glad this change is being made. And not just because it's going to benefit my Eleonora. I think there are a lot of adventurers who appreciate this. Here we're going to get a single Vojanoi. This might help me. I've currently cleared 46 in the Flame Gauntlet, and I only have one max unbound Vojanoi. So if our Freed's plan doesn't work out, I might go for this Vojanoi and try max unbind it instead. We're getting very risky here with the amount of 4 stars. I'm worried we might break our pity rate early. Then we're gonna get a Lance, and it's Pia. But yeah, that affliction change to me is awesome. That's probably the change I'm most excited about for the update. Otherwise, we also found out more information about the new Alliances feature. That's going to start at the same time, basically beginning of next week when Reset takes place. And Alliances, unfortunately, do have a cap. They're on the smaller side, 30 people per alliance. So I'm not going to be able to make one big one for the entire channel or for an entire Discord server, because that also has, between 1,500 and 2,000 people at this point. However, I'm still planning on making an alliance, and I assume that a lot of people on our server will make smaller alliances. And maybe we can kind of have a consortium of different alliances that work together. I'm really still hoping that there's not huge competitive edges to be gained by participating in these alliances. It seems like it's mostly a fun mode. You can set the alliance name, introduction, notice board message, and then there's these really cool crests that you can pick and choose from. Within the alliance chat, you can set your personal icon as a character icon or a dragon. You can have recruiting be open or closed, and you can also set goals for your alliance. So in principle, it seems actually pretty fun. But my concern is just, are there going to be big rewards gated behind this? And I really hope that's not the case, because I can imagine there are people who might not want to opt into this system. And I also hope that it doesn't diminish the amount of people who play through pubs too much, because it is important that those stay active and stay healthy. But I would guess that would mostly be an issue for harder quests. That's the type of thing you'd want to communicate with your alliance about. If it's an easier quest, you probably should still be able to find co-op rooms for something like IO. I'm hopeful about it, but like I said, we don't know all the details yet, and I'm waiting to see more on alliances next week. Besides that, in terms of the update, we also got some quality of life stuff. One of them is related to the astral raids that have come out, and we found out Valfair is going to be the next raid boss. Kind of makes sense since Valfair was on the preview artwork. But basically, you can spend multiple astral pieces at once, and by spending them all at once, you can collect the same amount of rewards. There is another wrinkle to that, where not only can you do that, but you can also now buy extra astral pieces for Diamantium. That's kind of dangerous territory to me, because it's a little bit play to win, or pay to win rather. But at the same time, we have had purchasable things like clovers since the beginning of the game. So in the long run, augments should be available to all players, just the same way that clovers are, because you get them by playing the game, and you build up Dragon Bond day by day just by playing the game. However, this gives you an immediate short-term advantage if you're buying these astral pieces, because you're going to get a lot more augments right away. I think that's basically it as far as these astral pieces purchases. And since the monthly treasure trade has limits anyway, it's not like you're going to be suddenly buying a lot of astral pieces and getting that many more strength augments, at least based on our one raid boss we had so far, which didn't drop strength augments through the actual battle. That's pretty much what I think about the astral raids update and astral pieces. It's definitely a smaller one. There's some other smaller things like about data downloads, a new icon for worm prints, fireflies in the home screen background, and some bug fixes, but that's pretty much it as far as the version update, I think. We're hopefully nearing the end of our summoning here, as our appearance rate is now at 6.5%. I would have gladly whittled through more of those singles had I realized, once again, we'd kind of be on the bad side of variance here with the amount of 10-folds we've done with no 5-star adventurer. But fortunately, we do have a nice cushion of Wormite at this point, so I'm going to go ahead and start using my Wormite and hope we can save enough here for our Gala. And it looks like we're going to get a 5-star, so I'm thinking this will probably be our last summon on this showcase. It's just one, but it might be something good. Let's see. Please. Alright, I saw... Was that a blade? So it could be Reyna. There's also a chance it could be Natalie. I don't have her. And she's another fantastic unit for the Mercurial Gauntlet. Not necessarily for wind, especially since I have Mikoto already, but she is a great unit. Alright, we're gonna get Carl. More dupes. A Silk. As of now, my plan for High Jupiter is basically Silk Heinwald, because I don't really want to use stones on my Nidhogg or my Nyarlathotep, so I don't think I'm going to bring a 5-star dragon right away. It's coming up soon here. Awesome! We got Reyna! Alright, so Reyna's not necessarily the one who's going to help me the most with the gauntlet, but, you know, with the burn change that's happening, she's likely to be a lot better than she is now. I still expect her to be very defensive, especially compared to Mikoto, but Reyna is a really cool unit. She is probably my favorite of the sisters, maybe just based on the archetype alone and the whole Ara Ara thing, but Reyna looking super good in the 3D model. She's adorable. Anyway, Reyna has kind of an interesting skill shift mechanic where she can burn the enemy, increase her critical rate, and then deal extra damage to burning enemies. And then her second skill readies that first skill for use while boosting her own critical damage by a lot. This prime defense, I think you really want strength double buff on your lead adventurer to actually take advantage of this, because otherwise a defense buff on its own isn't doing a whole lot. But if she happens to be your lead, or your lead has healing double buff, strength double buff, at least they get that little bit of synergy. She is a really cool unit, and I already have the gear to use on her since I built out my Mikoto, so I'm wondering whether to stop here. I feel like I probably should stop here, but I do have a lot of single tickets. So I think I'm going to try one more time. If the Gala ends up being a flame powerhouse of some type, that would help me out a lot with my flame team. I probably will feel a little bit of regret for doing this, but as of now, I really think it's going to be Cleo or Leaf, or I guess Life. I don't know how to pronounce that properly, but I think it's something like that. And those seem to be the two most likely, and I don't think either of them is going to be Flame, especially when we got Goleman beforehand. So I'm going to try pull here just on the chance of getting one Ifrit, one more 5-star, hopefully an Arctos or Ramona. That would be ideal for us. Let's start building up our pity rate. One other thing I wanted to ask y'all was just how you're feeling about the content schedule since the change. Fortunately, I've gotten to a point where I am feeling more comfortable with my time. It does eat up a lot of time on the weekends to do those 2 videos, but during the week, I feel like my evenings are a little bit more free, so I can occasionally pop in with stuff like this summoning video. But if you really don't like that change, you know, that's feedback I want to hear as well, because it's always possible for me to try adjust. I know it is a lot of time spent for me now on the weekends, and when there's things like social obligations or chores to do to catch up on the work of the week, it can be pretty time consuming. Here we're getting a 4-star at least. Let's see what it's gonna be. A sword. And it's a Carl. Alright, I guess let's skip through several of these now, since it's gonna be a while. It's always a while with these single summons. I guess the thing about the version update I'm most excited about is the afflictions, like I already mentioned. But I'm still curious about the exact details on how it'll be implemented. Whoa! 5-star. Please. Okay, Lance. And it's an Annalie dupe. Alright, I feel like we're pushing our luck here. That Eldwater is still helpful for Gauntlet because I can do some 50 noting or promotions. We're at 32 tickets, around 17,000 Wormite. I have that Diamantium, but my plan is just to save that for daily deals or paid only types of content. So I think we're going to wrap it up here for today. Unfortunately, no Arctos, no Ramona, but we did get Reyna. Let's go ahead and upgrade Reyna while I'm here and get her up to level 80 like everyone else. I did finally use some of my augments on my Eleonora, but specifically the HP ones, since I don't have a lot of strength ones yet. Let's unlock her nodes. Actually, I've been really low on resources with the facility level cap increase. I've spent a lot of flame orbs to try to get my flame altars to max, so I might not be able to fully unlock her mana nodes here. So we'll do as many as we can. I'm also curious how many of y'all actually decided to summon on this, because I know most people are skipping Dragon Special, and a lot of people had good flame teams, but even though I felt like my flame team was good, after trying out level 41, I quickly realized it was not quite where it needed to be. Yeah, so we're really at the bottom of the barrel here on these. Let's see how many we need. Okay, we can do 1 trade down to do that. One thing I'm feeling pretty happy about that I was going to say with respect to afflictions is, regardless of how they exactly work, I did invest in a Max Unbound level 100 Pazuzu. So finally that Pazuzu feels like a somewhat, legitimate choice. I know that Pazuzu is actually relatively good compared to Zephyr against high Mercury specifically, but I still felt kind of unsure about that decision, especially when, after the fact, I did pull a Zephyr, so now I can feel pretty confident about that. And the great thing about Pazuzu is it inflicts poison on its own, so you don't necessarily need the character that's using it to actually inflict poison to reap the maximum rewards from it. I guess let's stop here for now at 40 nodes. Pretty much run out of things to say despite that deluge of new information. So I think that'll do it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed the summoning today. I hope you've been enjoying the content in Dragalia Lost and on the channel. If not, let me know, but if so, let me know as well. That's going to do it once again, so thank you so much for watching, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you next time.